Hi, my name's Paul and I founded the South Essex Paranormal team with some of my colleagues here. From that end we've got Sean, Tara, Donna, Danny, Jackie. Yep. I'm very much sceptic.
I'm a believer.
I believe.
I believe there's something.
Oh, I definitely believe.
And I definitely believe.
This venue's never been investigated before by anybody, so it's a completely fresh, new venue. So we've been asked to come investigate it.
Because it's within Essex as well, and being from Essex, to me it's kind of a privilege to be asked to come here and to do an investigation.
Me personally, for me, it was, I watched all these most haunted programs and ghost hunters and stuff like that, and I just wanted to experience that for myself, so we'll see whether or not it was fake or true. But I've only had, in the 4 years that we've been doing this, I've only had one experience that I can't explain. Cool.
I was brought up as a spiritualist by my mum, so I was always around, I'm going to say spirit as such. Obviously I grew up, become a teenager, done my own thing, but I've always been interested in spirits, mediums, things like that. And when I met Paul, we were friends and we decided to chat, and we decided, yeah, it would be really good to maybe start a group, go out, do some investigations, private and public sort of thing, and see what we get. And I've seen things, heard things that I'm unable to explain. So that, yeah, it really interests me.
I'm really into it, if I'm honest. It's just the unknown. I'm not trying to prove or trying to make people believe me, but it's for myself. It's something I'm always interested in.
I'd always seen things when I was younger. Not loads and loads, but bits and bobs. And really when my nan died, I started to see a lot more. And being friends with Tara's daughter at the time, she came up to me and said we're starting up a team. And I thought, brilliant. So I got involved that way.
I've always been interested from a young age, and then I went on a bit of investigation because I was asked by a friend, and things happened, and then I was asked to join a team. It was just interesting, and I've always believed there's something different. I don't believe in certain things, and I believe in this, so I just enjoy it. It's some great people, so let's work with some great people, so I love it.
Cool. We will use some of our scientific equipment to register EMF fluctuations if we get any. Voice recorders, we'll listen out for the EMP work and just play back some of the CCTV cameras that we've got.
Great. So what are you hoping for to happen?
I'm hoping, I've been told some of the activity that goes on here. For me personally, I want to prove or disprove what actually happens. Right, we're now in part of the basement area where in the museum, and it used to be used as an old morgue. So we've come down here to try and find what results we can get using the Ouija board. Anything we come across on the board will be recorded on voice recorder. We've also got a K2 meter, and I'll record it just by writing it down as well. A Ouija board is basically just a board with letters on it and numbers, so we can ask spirit, if they're around, to come and communicate with us by pushing what we call a planchette to the letter corresponding to what it wants to spell out. So it just makes it easier to communicate. But they are not to be used lightly. You've got to know what you're doing, because they can be dangerous things. Just treat it with respect. If there's any spirit here, can you please use this board to communicate with us? Come forward and use our energy to move it over to the letters and the numbers and spell out your first name for us. Use our energy.
Sorry. No, flash. I'll take pictures obviously, but because I'm
Use our energy.
kind of like what people would class a fledgling, which is a medium in training, I have kind of surpassed the bulb, so I don't actually use it anymore, because there's been a few instances where we've been using the bulb and I've come out with names and things like that before the bulb has spelt them. So we just want to try and prove that you are here. We do have little bits of equipment around. Don't worry about them. They won't hurt you. Just ignore them. You know, all they're here to do is tell us that you're here.
The K2 meter is just basically a EMF detector. EMF stands for electric magnetic field. It basically has the effect of, if you're in it for a long period of time, it could give you feelings of being watched, feelings of dread, hallucinations, stuff like that. But it can easily be fixed by having a good electrician to come in. So when we go to people's houses and we pick up high EMF fields with the K2, we could suggest that they go to an electrician, and that may stop some of the activity that they claim that they have. Okay, basically, as you can see, the plug emits an EMF field. Okay, and that seems to be affecting Danny slightly, but it doesn't come out very far.
No, but I was right. My head was
But
right next to it.
his head was right next to it, so it affected him slightly. I'll go into that room.
Oh, what's this then? Yeah.
Swatch him because it doesn't like focus him. Okay. We're going to use a bit of equipment called the Frank's box, also known as a ghost box. Basically, it sweeps through frequencies, radio frequencies, so that if any spirit uses a certain frequency that we can't hear to communicate, it will come over this Frank's box. Is there any spirit in this room that wants to come and communicate with us? Can you please come forward and tell us your first name? And he was still swearing at us.
And he was telling us to go away, wasn't it?
Is there any spirit around here that wants to come forward and tell us their first name? Are you happy? Is there any spirit in here that wants to communicate with us? Please come forward and spell your first name for me. Letter to spell out your first name for me.
No, we're going to move. Here we go. It's the bolts, huh?
D Q. Okay, can you go back to the middle for me? Can you go back to the
No,
middle?
we'll put you back on the middle. It's spinning under our fingers as well.
Yeah, that's what I keep moving and adjusting.
Make Tara scream. Poke her, push her, slap her, touch her, anything you want. She can handle it, she can take it. Just make her scream.
Train up.
This is just a torch test. I mean, you basically loosen the back of the torch so the batteries inside get a bit loose. I mean, if I show you now, it's just gently tap the back of it, and not so gently, but a bit of pressure on the back, and it lights up. Right, a little bit of pressure on the back of the torch to light it up for us. Even if you can roll the torch, it can be even better. Come on. Everything's just been sitting there doing nothing, so what? Got to be you in it. Come on, do it again. Oh my God, it's cold.
Just go and look.
And who's watching it, Joyce?
Well,
As in,
watch out you don't trip on him. He has hordes of stuff everywhere. I put my keys down so they're quiet.
Regiment Office, EVP. Graham, are you picking anything up?
Yeah, it's very sad. Sad room. Would you be aware of an older gentleman that used to, I don't want to say just walked in here, he's passed now, yeah?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, okay. He would have been a very intelligent, wise man as far as knowledge concerning the Essex regiments.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah, K2's going up slowly.
What we've done, we're now moved to the top floor of the museum, and we've split up into two teams. Team of 3 here, and we've got a team of 4 floating about somewhere else. They've gone into another room with loads of artefacts in it, so they're going to try and pick up some energy off of them. We're in what's classed as a music room, and it's just full of artefacts from the music eras, 60s, 70s and all that. And we're just seeing what we can get from here.
Pottery room. Can you come forward? You can use my energy. Give it freely. There's a red light to the right of me. Sorry? Okay, is there any children here? Hello, can you come forward if you're here for me? But do you feel there might be children connected to the actual property?
But to the actual house?
Yeah.
There was children in the house, but they're not their energies or their spirits here. But there is residue of the children in the house, yes.
Right, so it's resid.
Yeah, I pick up 2 children, a boy and a girl, who were the children, I believe, of Frederick Wells,
Right, okay.
who was the owner of the house.
What do you feel, Danny?
Well, I've just got a couple of kids, I can't pinpoint how many.
Are you able to...
I know one's a boy.
I was going to say, can you sex them? So you've got...
I know one is a boy because I got him earlier. Actually, I thought I was chasing him.
What, to play?
Yeah, like they're playing hide and seek. That's
Okay.
what I'm getting. It's just like they're playing hide and seek.
Says 700 pounds.
Yeah, well, it's over the next side there. Picking up, come out, it's about wide. Wait, Sesame Street, isn't it?
K2 then.
I've done it in my pocket.
Okay.
like a tap.
Was that you?
Yeah, that's me. That's what I'm saying.
If there's spirit here, I've got an instrument in my hand. It's got a little green light on it, and I've also got another instrument in my hand. It's got a little red light on it. Along with the red light, if you're speaking to it, I'll be able to hear your voice. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. We're only here to respect you. But on this one, if you walk in front of it, you'll make the lights go up and down. Can you do that for me, please? Can you make a noise? Tap on the glass for me. You can use my energy. I give it freely to you. Come on, we're not here to disrespect you or play parlour games. We just want to prove that you're really here. We heard you make a noise in here. Can you do it again for me?
Yeah.
So we've come to Chelmsford Museum and we've investigated the entire building, top floor, ground floor and basement. Our team started upstairs on the top floor and we started on the landing, which is where Paul had heard some whistling. So we started there. As we were there, we kept hearing some noises coming from the room where your team had got CCTV set up. We spent a little bit of time in there and managed to debunk it and realised it was the air conditioning system that they've got in there. So we were quite pleased that we were able to give a reason for those noises. We weren't able to give a reason for the whistling, although as we moved further down the corridor, it was heard by other team members as well. And we also heard a woman laughing on that landing as well. We moved further down, we got some bizarre hits on the Ramsey. It was behaving in quite a bizarre way. The Ramsey picks up on electrostatic. What quite often happens with the Ramsey is it will go off and it will keep going off until you reset it. But it was actually going off by itself, so it was making a noise and it was lighting up. And then it stopped doing it, indicating that whatever was creating the electrostatic had stepped away or moved away, so it wasn't picking up on that electrostatic anymore. We weren't able to pick up all night. We didn't pick up on any K2 hits. We didn't get anything on the E-smog on any of the areas that we went into. We haven't reviewed the voice recorder as yet, so we've obviously got to listen back to that. As we moved further along the corridor, the reason why we actually moved further along the corridor, we kept hearing noises. And as we were towards the end of the corridor, entering into the lobby area, upstairs lobby area, we were hearing clicking. We could hear over the balcony in the reception area, there was, you can hear the clock, and we know the clock noise now, we can't hear long enough to hear the clock noise. But we could hear clicking as in something being dropped or something being moved, and then we heard a dragging sound. I shouted down, "Is there anybody there?" Now, Irene, the lady who is looked after us tonight, she did admit that she had been in that area to pick up her glasses and had heard me shout, "Is anybody there?" but hadn't answered me. So to some degree we can rule out some of that noise down in the reception area. What we weren't able to rule out initially was floorboard movement in the what's it called? Is it the yeoman room? In the yeoman room we kept hearing floorboards moving. We kept hearing noises in the room to one side there with the big drums. Initially we were seeing some lights from there and we thought that was bizarre until we went and had a look and realised there were some monitors that were turned on. Yeah. So we actually turned those off. And realised that was what was causing it. We then moved into the yeoman room and we got some bizarre responses We were actually asking for noises to happen and they were happening. We knock on things and say, finish this rhythm, and we knocked on it and got a response back. That happened a couple of times. We found it quite funny because on one of them, as we were doing it, the noise from the fire exit, noise that's been beeping all night, as I knocked and said, finish that off, that finished it off, and he said, fantastic, that's perfect timing. We laughed about it, did it again, and it did it again, and we were like, okay, that's possibly a little bit weird, but as I say, it's been going off all night, so we can't, but we're hearing noises right above us in response to requests as well. The Ramsey, again, has been going off all night. Some of them we can explain, some of them we can't. As I say, the Ramsey goes off and it stays on. Quite a lot of the night it's been going off and then turning itself off again, indicating that there's something actually setting it off. We heard a lot of noises upstairs, there was a lot of movement in lots of different areas. We were sat in the, what I call the music room, which earlier the disco lights were in and stuff.
Yeah.
And the Ramsey was actually going off on demand on several occasions. Now that generally doesn't go off on demand, but even the skeptics in the group were like, that's interesting, that doesn't happen, and it did. As you know, we then had a break. We then moved down into the basement. Didn't get anything in the basement apart from when we were taking all the photos at the beginning of the night. I went into the Dragon's Den room and I didn't feel like I was on my own. So I said, I want to start off in that area. And when we were in there, we didn't get anything on any of the equipment, but after a little while in there, I said, I'm starting to feel a little bit dizzy and a little bit sick. And that didn't really go off until we came out of that room. But the whole time we were in there, I felt like there was somebody else there. And that's really all we got down in the basement. Moved up to the top, to the ground floor. We got nothing at all. No noises, we didn't pick up on anything. We did ask out throughout the night on a couple of names we've got. I felt on the landing that we picked up on the name Edward. Paul picked up on the name David. When we moved into the locked room, off the open room, I've got a pain in my thigh, in my right thigh, and bizarrely picked up on the name Chowdhury and the number 38. And I was like, that's bizarre, because they're saying that the artefacts that are in there from the First World War. And the lady who's been looking after it said, no, actually, that makes sense. And she's going to go over and have a look and see whether she can find it. She's like, I have heard that name recently. So, yeah, it's been interesting in different times. We're really looking forward to coming down to the ground floor and spending time in the reception area, because that's where we were hearing all the noises. When we actually came down here, nothing happened at all. Really frustrating. So, having done that, we've moved into this side. I heard keys jangling in one of the rooms, mentioned that to Irene, and she said that can make sense actually. That could make sense as to what this room is actually used for. As we were taking pictures at the beginning of the night in the reception area, we've got some flashing lights on the camera as I was taking the picture, and we can't explain that. We're not sure what could have caused that initially, although later on Irene said that machine makes flashing lights and that could be what caused it, so we managed to debunk that as well. So yeah, interesting night. Bizarre. How about you?
We started off in the basement. We split up into two teams. My group took the room that's marked as the morgue. We really didn't get
absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we didn't.
There's nothing going on.
Much at all in there. Then we moved over to the next room along, and we get a couple of K2 bits, but I think that was
it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't a great deal of anything.
No,
in there.
Really anything that could
I don't know about your
Well, I don't know what the name of the room that we was in, but it's got the sewing machine.
Well,
Yeah, little elf. Okay, we got quite a lot of K2 hits in there, especially on demand. But we actually migrated away from the investigation side and kind of started chatting to ourselves, didn't we? And we was also getting K2 hits when on command from there as well, when we was talking, and Graham was saying, oh, etc, to some of us, and we'd say, oh, if you're there, can you make the K2 go up? And we'd get a hit. Other than that, we didn't really get anything, did we? We didn't get
you got the shove.
Sorry, Jackie got poked in the back. You felt something cold behind you, didn't you?
Yeah.
And when she put her hand out, she was like, yeah, it's colder here.
And was that in the sewing room?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, as I say, it's been a really long night and some of the stuff that's happened I've forgotten about, but actually in that room I saw a dark shadow in one corner, Paul saw a dark shadow in another corner, and as I was stood there, Paul said to me, you're doing that rocking thing that I do. I was like, no, I'm not, I'm standing, I'm just stood here. And he said, no, I'm sat at the side of you and I can see you rocking. So he asked me to be shoved, but it didn't happen.
See, Jackie got poked, yeah, but with Donna, she was like, it's really cold this side,
Yeah.
and she was putting her hand out feeling, and Graham confirmed that he felt that there was a gentleman beside her.
The dizziness I'm talking about, there's also was chest and breathing problems, but I had to confirm with Irene that one of the people who actually work here is suffering from that at the moment, and they work down in the basement.
Right.
So the energy's coming from there.
Right, okay.
But other than that, we didn't get much in the basement, did we?
No. And then we moved upstairs towards the new part of the building. We didn't get much down that end. As we come down towards this end, we got a lot of K2 hits on the stairs, particularly in the corner where it shoots off to the top floor.
Yeah, where the stairs go down a square bit and down again, that particular square is colder than the stair area.
Well, I highlighted that bit earlier on because as we were taking pictures, I said to you, didn't I, we need to make a note of the fact that that square is lighter than the rest of the stairs, and that will show on the pictures that I took, hopefully, but that whole area was lit up.
We actually did get a picture where you can see a person standing on a bit of wood above that square.
Right.
To the point where you can make out kind of what he's wearing.
Right.
We got Donna chose to go down and stand in that area, and you said you could feel it, the temperature variations that were there, the K2 meters were going off. Obviously there was taking photographs as well, which we've yet to review in full. We didn't really get anything in where our monitor is.
Yeah.
We didn't get anything in that room at all, did we?
No.
We heard some noises, which, as you said, we worked it out. It was like the radiator or the air conditioning unit. But other than that, there was no noises from there.
There was a lot of K2 hits. Nothing substantial.
No, there was no.
When we was down there, I heard that laughing.
That was on this level when we came down to the ground floor.
Well, we'd just walked through the door into the new area when I heard it, and I turned around towards the new. I turned around towards the old area because I thought I'd heard it from there, but we'd actually stepped into the new area when
we heard it down. We heard it down by the toilets, and we actually thought there was someone in the toilets. We checked them all.
Leaving.
To the toilets and started shouting who's in there, you know.
That was sort of only 10-15 minutes ago.
we heard.
Other than that, I mean, we just got K2 hits pretty much all night, on and off. Other than that, that was pretty much it.
What happened to you and Tara when you went into where all the drums are? We didn't find it out.
Oh yeah, well we went into the Essex Regiment room, and there was myself, Paul and Donna, and we had the K2 meter.
There was only a couple of steps into the room.
Yeah, as you step into it, you've got a collection box, and I was actually leaning on the collection box, so we was only about 3:30 in. But the K2 meter was going off on command, wasn't it?
Right up to the red light.
Right up to the red light. Can you stay there? Can you take it down? It'd go straight back down. Can you make it go orange? It'd go up. Go up, and it'd do that. I felt like my arm was touched under here, and I actually stood there for a moment and just let accepted the sensation, if you see what I mean, rather than jerk my arm away.
Yeah.
And as I brought my arm up, the sensation dissipated. We've got some voice recordings, but we've yet to go through those to see if we've got anything. But I did ask, like, if you're there, can you please tell me your name, etc. But we was getting very good K2 meter hits that were on command.
Yeah.
So we actually sent the other guys down there, we swapped. But you didn't get anything in there, did you? You went right to the back.
Yeah,
we stepped just in, they went right to the back.
The only thing was, me and Jackie felt a feeling of pressure in there, but whether, like, scientifically, that could just be because it's getting late.
Yeah.
And we're just starting to get a bit like...
Going back to the stairs as well, on the CCTV cameras, we was actually sitting there watching them for a little while, and we've got some interesting light anomalies going up and down.
To command as well, didn't we? Obviously, unfortunately, we don't have audio with
it
them.
appeared, rather than just shooting across the screen, it looked like this ball of light was going up to the square and then turning and then going up again.
Because I'd say, if you're there, can you please just walk up, turn and walk up.
Well, some of the noises that we were hearing as we were sat on the landing by the chair, Paul was actually sat in the chair, we were hearing footsteps across that landing.
You heard that when you stayed here previously, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because he stayed here previously and he heard footsteps, and just to check it wasn't one of the scouts, he went and had a look, and there was no one up there.
Yeah.
So that was unaccounted for, which he couldn't explain that himself.
We had some K2 activity in the kitchen.
Yeah, we had access to the Victorian kitchen, and we had a few K2 hits again on that.
But that dissipated slowly, didn't it? The energy kind of went flat a bit, and although it came up, it stopped all of a sudden. There was no reason for it.
A couple in here as well.
And we, sorry?
We had a couple of...
Yeah, we sat on the floor. We tried doing the spirit board as well, but they didn't want to really play tonight.
I was to say, I found towards the end of the night, it just kind of died. Pardon the expression.
I think our energy goes flatter as we get tired, and I think they just back away.
I think because this is a new venue that hasn't ever been investigated, it's sort of a shock for them as well, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the thing was, we have had K2 hits, we have had personal experiences, we have heard stuff, felt stuff, seen stuff happen. So we can't say that nothing happened while we were here. Absolutely. One of the nice things, what we sometimes find, is that on our last break, we were laughing, we had a good laugh. Theory is that laughter increases the energy, increases the vibrations. You find that a lot of the time stuff will happen when you're not paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can focus too much on the scientific side, rather than just being there and chatting and getting on with it. Sometimes more stuff happens when you haven't got the equipment there. So it swings and roundabouts.
In the basement, as I said, we migrated away from the investigation, and we're chatting on a personal level, and we're getting K2 hits really well, wasn't we?
Yeah.
But as soon as we was like, okay, back to it, well, it died down.
Yeah.
But the minute you start chatting again, up it comes again.
Yeah.
So
And that's when I got poked, and it was like, oh.
Yeah, and you step closer to ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a media level, there was actually quite a lot came through the news, quite a lot of evidence. And Dan's already confirmed quite a lot of it. We picked up, for example, that it was the building belonged to somebody called Frederick Wells.
Yeah.
It was designed, I think, and built by his, I said there was a family member. It was his brother-in-law. There was two kids, a boy and a girl that was here as well. I thought they were actually riding, or they were on a horse, but it turns out it was a penny farthing. His connection to a brewery, apparently he was a brewer, and there was somebody to do with coal as well, a coal merchant.
But this is what Graham picked up, no knowledge of the building itself. And Irene's kindly confirmed what he said.
The building was designed through Pride as well. I thought it said something to do with the Queen, but it was on her build, as it was called, with the design of it. There's a Mary O'Connor, or Connor, that was of service here as well. What else did we pick up? Picked up a lot of people working here as well, actually.
Yeah.
Those that are living.
Yeah. That's good then.
So there was quite a bit that came through in that level as well.
And the thing is at the end of the day, we're here to try and verify the existence of spirit. Some people believe in mediumship, some people don't. Presuming you've not looked online to find any of that information, you're actually coming here and verifying that you're picking up on that, and that's being verified from people that are here all the time. So that's really good. So, but as I say, from an investigation point of view, we all had stuff happen, be it on a scientific level from your side, or personal experiences and hearing things and seeing things from our side as well. We all experienced that, so I don't think it was too disappointing. It was frustrating towards the end of the night, but I wouldn't say disappointing. So, yeah, it's been a good night.
It's been interesting.
Yeah.
And it's been lovely to work with you. And
Yeah, it's been great.
It's been nice to meet you.